Hello again and welcome back to another video. Now, Tomonoura is a historic town in Fukuyama, located on the Inland Sea. It's widely considered to be one of Japan's best preserved traditional seaside towns. By seaside, I don't mean sort of bucket and spade seaside, but towns on the sea, on the coast. It's famous for its calm scenery, its Edo period streets, and its deep maritime history. Unlike many Japanese ports, its 19th century Edo period harbour, complete with its stone lighthouse, remains intact, which is extremely unusual. But I'm not here in Tomonoura today to explore the town itself, undoubtedly beautiful as it is. No, Tomonoura can wait for some other time. I'm here today to visit an island called Sensuijima, just 5 minutes by ferry from Tomonoura. So, Sensuijima is an uninhabited island, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to do here. In fact, there's quite a lot you can do on the island, and there are some very beautiful sights, especially if the weather is good, which unfortunately it isn't today, not really. Still, the weather isn't going to really make a difference to what I want to do today, because I've come to Sensuijima to take one of the hiking trails that runs around part of the island. Now, this trail was closed in 2021 after damage from a typhoon, and now in 2026 it's just reopened. So it was always a trail I enjoyed before it closed, so I've come to see it again. Anyway, just before I start, let me say a little bit about Sensuijima, the island. It's a small island, as I say, it's in the Inland Sea, and, well, despite its size, it feels quite wild and untouched. It's actually very different from the historic streets and the maritime history you find in Tomonoura, just across the water. So the name Sensuijima is written with the kanji for hermit, drunk, island. It's said to be so beautiful that even hermits would lose themselves when confronted with this beauty. So the island has long been associated with nature worship and spiritual retreats. And even now, the atmosphere feels quiet, remote, slightly otherworldly, I suppose, even. Anyway, let's go and take this little hike. Just before I set off, there used to be a resort hotel just here, but it closed and, well, it's been completely demolished now. I wonder whether anything will be built in its place. It's a shame, really. I never stayed here, but it would have been nice to. Now, all that remains in this part of the island, apart from the beach, of course, is this path up through the cherry blossoms. That's another place that it's worth exploring, but it's not something I'm going to do today. So, this is the start of the trail proper. I'm going to walk all the way around to Hikoura, which is really the end of this path. You can go further, but it's up into the mountains, and that's not something I want to do today. So today, as far as Hikoura. If I'm being completely honest, I'm really quite surprised that this trail was repaired after the damage from the typhoon. I'm very glad it has been, though. It's a wonderful walk, as I say, especially on a day when the sun is cooperating a little bit more than it is today, which is basically not at all. By the way, that island we can see is Sensuijima. And this ferry is the ferry that links Tomonoura and Hiroshima. Hiroshima has some people living on it, although I think only a few hundred at most. Still, there is a regular ferry service. It's quite an interesting island to visit. Maybe I should do a video about it one day. Even without the weather cooperating particularly today, the inland sea is still a stunningly beautiful place. In fact, in a way, you could say it's more beautiful on a hazy, slightly cloudy day like this. Another view of Sensuijima there, with the hills of Tomonoura itself in the background on the right. This is a really peaceful, relaxing place to take a stroll. There's not really that many people around, and really all the sound you can hear is the lapping of the waves, the occasional seabird. It's a really wonderful place, really. As I say, if you were to come on a day when the weather was good, it would be all the more impressive. There's rather a good view back to Tomonoura from this point on the trail. It's the middle of April, but you can still see quite a lot of cherry blossom up on the hills. It does actually look like the sun is trying to come out just a little bit. So you never know. In the end, we might be blessed with a little bit of blue sky. Fingers crossed. As I said earlier, the damage after the typhoon in 2021 caused, well, obviously enough damage that it took 5 years to repair. But this is obviously not the first time that there's been damage. That slope there was obviously a path before. actually, sort of halfway across the screen, maybe it's a little bit difficult to see, but there is actually a cave. Thinking about it, it must take quite a lot of effort to repair something like this on an island like Sensuijima, because there's no bridge, there's no road around here, there's only this path, and the port, such as it is basically only really a landing pier for passenger boats. So quite apart from the repairs themselves, getting all the material to the island to make the repairs must have been a job and a half. These rocks just here are known as Goshikiwa, or 5-colored rocks. There are red, green, black, white and blue tones in the rocks. These rocks have been formed over millions of years through volcanic and sedimentary processes, and being on the coast, they are pretty visible. Actually, I think this sort of raw geological feel you get on the island of Sensuijima is one of the reasons why I enjoy coming here for the day so much. I think it's a really good contrast with the gentle townscape in Tomonoura. By the way, this little island is called Shimokamijima. I think if the tide were much lower, it would almost be possible to walk out to it. I wonder if the tide does ever get that low. And this is the end point of today's walk, Hikoura. It's a beautiful beach, even in this weather, and it's especially beautiful because it's almost deserted. Apart from me, there are only 4 people on the beach. There are 2 young women taking selfies, and then, somewhat incongruously, there are 2 high school boys in full school uniform, and it's actually quite a warm day today. Skimming stones into the water. That's it. From the beach here at Hikoura, you can hike up to an observatory, by which I mean a place where you can get good views, up on the top of that headland just there. But that's a hike for another day, I think. It really does look like you might be able to walk out to Shimokamijima at low tide. I'll have to try and time the next time I come to coincide with low tide and see whether it is actually possible. I don't think there'd be much to see though, to be honest. I mean, it's only a very, very small island and there certainly doesn't look to be any sort of path around the edge of it. So maybe even if you could walk out to it, you'd just be walking straight back. You could say this about the whole island, really. But this beach, in particular, is just such a wonderful place to sit and relax, listen to the gently lapping waves, watch the boats and ferries passing by out in the inland sea, gaze at the far islands. It's just wonderful. Okay, so I said that the object of today's walk was here, Hikoura, and it was. But I also just noticed that there's a short path up to another observatory called Akaiwa, which means red stone. And apparently it's only 200 meters. So just before I head back towards the ferry port, I'm just going to see whether it's possible to get up to there and what the view's like, really. So this is the path up to Akaiwa Observatory. It's pretty steep, but at least there are steps, and hopefully it's not going to be too far. Alright, so this is the Akaiwa observation point. As I say, an observation point is basically just somewhere where you can get a good view. And this is certainly a good view. So right in front of us is Sensuijima, and in the background, the town of Tomonoura. Just imagine what this would be like on a day with a blue sky and bright sunshine. Alright, that's about it for this video, I think. I hope you enjoyed this little stroll along the coast of Sensuijima as far as Hikoura. It really is a beautiful island, and despite it being uninhabited, there are plenty of things to do, quite apart from this walk along the coast. Especially if you like hiking, you can climb up to the top of the largest mountain on the island, and I would assume from there the views are even more spectacular than they are from Akaiwa observation point or the coast walk itself. And as I said at the very beginning of this video, Tomonoura itself is well worth a visit. It's a beautiful little town, it's rightly famous, and it's very popular, more and more so in fact these days. So if you're ever in Fukuyama or in Hiroshima city for that matter, make a visit to Tomonoura. You definitely won't regret it. It's a beautiful little place. It is well worth a visit. But if you come as far as Tomonoura, then also don't fail to make the 5-minute ferry journey out to Sensuijima. Even if you only walk along the coast walk, the walk I've done today, it's still a very beautiful walk, and it's very peaceful and relaxing in a different way to Tomonoura itself. So I think the best thing to say really is regard Tomonoura and Sensuijima as sort of a set. If you come to Tomonoura, also don't forget to visit Sensuijima. As I say, there's nothing really here, but that's the beauty of it. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, as always. Please do leave a like and a comment if you want, and if you want to consider subscribing, of course, that would be appreciated. I will see you very soon in another video, but for now, from Sensuijima, goodbye.